brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? I'm Daejahmariej, and you are now watching Jot TV. And if this is your first time seeing this beautiful face of mine, oh no, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, based on how you guys reacted to my last story time. If you guys haven't, if you're new or whatever, or if you're a returning viewer, you haven't checked that out, please check that out. It'll make a lot of sense to this particular character that I am talking about because, guys, I have another story time about Kaylee, who was my best friend in middle school and high school. And child, I done stole Kaylee's man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, y'all see the title. I done stole her man. Her man that really wasn't her man. It took place in the 10th grade. Like, 10th grade had just began. It was no longer summertime. Her man, let's just say that. We're going to give her man a name, and his name is Ronnie. Let's give a description to Ronnie first before I get into anything, any of the drama that happened. So, Ronnie was an upperclassman because remember I said me and Kelly were in the 10th grade at around this time. He was an upperclassman, so he was in 12th grade. He used to run track. He had like an athletic build. Anybody who knows about people who run track, they have that like slim but muscular athletic build to them. And Ronnie was pretty tall. I believe he was tall, but I mean, if you were taller than me, like you were just tall automatic because I'm short. I'm very short. I'm 5'3". It was my complexion, maybe a little bit darker because of course when South Florida you're running track, you're running outdoors, and you're in the sun all the time. You're practicing in the sun, you're training in the sun, you're doing everything in the sun. Blowout fades were very, very popular. I'll probably insert a picture if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. He had that style. The type of person that he was very chill. He was very, very laid back, outgoing type of person, easy to get along with. He had this player demeanor about him, though. I'm not gonna lie, like it was giving player. And one thing about me back then, I always knew when it came to talking or messing with upperclassmen, right? I knew not to take them too seriously because eventually they're going to graduate, they're going to move on, they're going to turn 18, and by law, 18 means adult. You're grown up now. Not, of course, not grown up, but you're a legal adult. You're no longer considered a minor. But you're still a child, pretty much. You're still a teen. I knew that once he graduates, he's going to be exposed to other grown women, and I can't compete with no grown woman as a 10th grader, as a 15-year-old. So I knew if I do decide to mess with this dude, just don't expect it to last. Let's just say that. And especially to my young girls who are very impressionable, because you guys are impressionable, because I was there in your shoes once upon a time. You may think that, like, yeah, I was probably mature for my age, even though at the same time I was immature, but like I didn't act a certain way when it came to certain things. But not gonna lie, looking back at my old self, I was extremely immature, but not as immature as to like my peers. I would say that, especially when it came to Kaylee. I just knew not to do too much with an upperclassman and not even let them get to the cookie jar. Yeah, don't let them get to the cookie jar because all they're gonna do is just like they. To me, upperclassmen trying to get with somebody that's younger and then trying to take their V card. It's given very much predatorial, and they have these mental scorecards in their head to where they want to get with as much young girls as possible because most likely young girls still have their innocence. So they want to get to that person first to take their innocence away. And it's very ill. The fuck? Like, get with somebody that already lost their innocence and they already experienced. Like, why would you want to get with somebody new? You know what I mean? Like, fresh. Ill. I just never understood that. With that 11th grader, 10th grader, and you're in ninth grade, don't get with them. Don't waste your time. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but majority, too much of them are like that, and you just wouldn't want to your time wasted. Take it from me. So, all right. There was a point in time where me and Kaylee had previously fell out before ninth grade ended, right? So I have to dial the time machine back to, let's say, a couple months before Ronnie and I started talking. So this time period was, it had to been around spring break when we were freshmen, so around spring break. So that means Ronnie was a junior in 11th grade, and um I was like, what made me aware that them two were talking, from what it looked like, from the optics, it looked like they were talking, because, but y'all gonna find out why I said it looked like from the optics it came across that they were talking, but that ended up not being true. I'm gonna get into that later on. I remember when Kaylee and I started to patch things up. We wasn't back hanging around with each other, but that reason was because she was hanging around Ronnie, because she liked Ronnie. And it was, like I said, it was around spring break. It had to been either after spring break or like close to that time when we were about to get out of school. So it was either between, in the months of May or June, because typically in South Florida, when we go for summer break, last day of school is like in the beginning of June. I remember walking down the hallway, like outside, like in like the outdoor corridors, outside, because that's the the school bell rang and it's time to go home. I was with somebody. I feel like I was with a mutual friend of Kaylee and I. So I was with them and ended up crossing paths with Kaylee. But as you know, we're talking to each other as we're like walking, like kind of past each other. So I'm going one way, Kaylee's going the opposite way, but she ends up having to make a turn. I peeped that Ronnie is down the hall, but it looks like he's waiting for her because he's looking at her. And then once he realizes like who she was talking to, which was me, he ends up looking at me like, oh, like kind of like, who's that type of thing. Because like I said, me and Kelly had fell out, and whenever them two started talking, was when I was no longer in the picture. But again, by this time we started to patch things up. I don't remember what we're talking about, but we're just saying what's up to each other and what we about to get into. Now it gets to the point where she's saying like, she's about to head out, and that's when our mutual friend was like, "Okay, girl, I see you." And we're all kidding. We're all joking. We're like, "Oh, we see you. We see you. Okay." Da 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 da. So as she like, since like I remember, like I said, Ronnie was up the hall. Like he was kind of far, but he was within eyesight, right? So now Kaylee's trying to like catch up to him or whatever. Like she's running down the hallway towards him, and then they end up walking off campus, and they're leaving. So I recall me and the mutual friend. The reason why I'm not giving this person a name, because like they have nothing to do with this story. Like they're not a common character in this story, so it doesn't make any sense to give them a name. And we're just talking like, oh, no, the mutual friend is like, I think that's Kaylee's new boyfriend. Da da da. I think that's her boyfriend, because word around the curb that was her boyfriend. Child, the delusion. Her man, but we're gonna get into it. I don't know what happened between Ronnie and Kaylee, but they're no longer like an item, and everything kind of goes back to normal. Kaylee was, on her solo dolo stuff, and I'm thinking, everything's fine. Like I think she was talking to other boys, but it was just like it wasn't, serious, like as serious like how her and Kevin was. And oh yeah, like if I don't think if I said it, like please again watch that last story time that I did, right? It's gonna make sense as to who Kevin is and why they're back and forth with one another. Fast forward now, we're going through that transition to where we're going to the next grade. So like I said, we were freshmen in this part. Now we're going to the 10th grade, which is sophomore year. And this had to been either in August, No, July or August, because I remember there was a time where my family on my mom's side had a family reunion. So we're getting ready to go school shopping and stuff like that. So that's how I know it was around this time. I remember being on Instagram one day. No. I didn't even open the app yet. I got a notification that Ronnie had followed me, but I didn't know if it was truly Ronnie. Why is Ronnie following me? Like, oh shit, like my heart dropped because I'm like, one thing about it, whenever a guy would follow you in high school, like follow you on Instagram and they don't know you from a can of paint, like they never spoke to you, y'all never had a conversation, just know that boy got eyes on you. He finally came across that social and he's going in for the kill, right? He about to shoot his shot. So I'm like, oh shit. I'm not saying nothing because I'm just thinking, okay, maybe he just wants to follow me because I mean, that's what you do on social media. That's what you do on Instagram. Like you follow people, you get followers, right? Getting spammed. He's spamming, like liking all my posts. He's commenting on a couple pictures, the hard eyes. Oh, child, I'm in this thing deep now. Now I'm like, yeah, all right, I see what's going on here. So I don't know if I went back to go like it. I don't think I went back to like his stuff because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, this is my best friend's old fling. You know what I mean? I don't want to give off the wrong impression. I immediately hit up Kaylee and I'm letting her know, like, bitch, guess who followed me on Instagram? And she was like, girl, who? I'm like, just guess because he liking my stuff and he leaving her eyes. So she said, girl, who? So I ended up telling her. And she was like, bitch. So she was like, immediately, she's like, I think you should talk to him. Ho, is you cool? And I used to talk. She was like, yeah. But like she's downplaying the whole entire situation. I just felt like that was so weird. But there's a reason why she was doing that, right? Again, I'm gonna get into it later. Remember what I said earlier? She had everyone thinking that that was her man. She downplaying it. She was like, girl, it wasn't that serious. This, that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't care. I moved on. I think she started back talking to Kevin. Ugh. And you're probably wondering why. Ugh. I still don't know either. Well, I know what it is. I know what it is because she kept hunching on him. That's why. They kept hunching on each other. Okay, she don't care. I said, are you sure? Like, I kept asking her, are you sure? Because once you give me the red light and not the green, I'm a dead to shit. Like I'm a dead it all together. I'm not gonna pay him not much mind, but much mind. But she kept giving me the green light to go mess with him. So I was like, all right, if you say so, whatever. Because by this time he ended up DMing me, and that's why she was saying what she was saying. So I ended up responding back to the DM. I respond back to it, and of course, he's telling me that, I'm pretty, I'm this, I'm that, I'm beautiful, I'm gorgeous. He wants to get to know me, da 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 da, whatever. And we eventually started talking. Fast forward, I remember there was a point in time where, like, uh, I was going over to Kaylee's house and I had spent the night with her for the first time ever. And of course, this is still the time where she's not back at like her house because the house was still under construction because of the fire. So they're in like the luxury apartments that the insurance had put them in or something like that. And there were some nice ass apartments, child. And even in these apartments, you already know Kelly got to get herself acquainted to the niggas that was over there. And it was this one boy too that was I think either in a grade level below us or two grade levels because he was in middle school. Oh my god! And that was the thing too. He was in middle school, and once I find out he was in middle school, I looked at her with the craziest bombastic side eye ever. Like, why are you that down bad? Are you in withdrawals because of Kevin? That you feel the need to talk to a middle schooler? Because the boy was in 8th grade, so he was getting ready to come to our school anyways. Or I don't think he ended up coming to our school. I think he ended up going to a different school. In the night with her, and that's when I'm on the phone with Ronnie, we're talking because he was asking me what I'm doing. So I told him what I'm doing. I'm over Kaylee's house. We hanging out. This is that blah 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 and all kind of stuff, right? And around this time, my mom like, I'm on my hot girl shit. I'm trying to pose up in like bikinis because they had like this nice behind pool, community pool or whatever for that neighborhood, and they had one of those waterfall type pools and this nice ass jacuzzi. It was nice as hell. I'm not even gonna lie, like it was a nice area. And I remember trying to take pictures. I had my hair out. I used to wear my hair out all the time. I post like these flipograms because flipograms was popular back then. That's when Vine was popping. Me and Ronnie going steady. Fast forward, now we officially started the new school year, and I remember meeting Ronnie for the first time because we had planned to meet each other in the morning, and he told me he was gonna meet me and he was gonna walk me to class. So I seen him for the first time, and I was just like, my man, this must be my new man. And he was complimenting me. I remember I had these braids. If I could find a photo, or if I could find my school ID with those exact braids, but my mom had let me try color finally. And I was just wearing like red braids or burgundy. So I had these red like cornrows in like straight backs, and they were pretty big. Like it wasn't this side, like maybe a little bit smaller, but I had these red straight backs, and that was the popular hairstyle back then. So he walking me to class. All eyes was on both of us, but all eyes was on me. And I remember walking past somebody and it was like, okay, girl, I see you, because they knew me. Like I knew I was somebody who I wasn't like popular, but a lot of people either knew me or knew of me type shit, right? So people in the hallway like, okay, girl, I see you. Da 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 da. And of course, eventually they asking me like, oh, is that your new boo? I'm like, yeah, girl. So, I was just giddy. Now, fast forward to like, it was a point in time where after school, me and Katie was hanging with each other, and again, just like the last story time, Kaylee had to wait and like was with me until somebody came to pick her up to take her home, because where she was at that time was too far, and isn't something that like she would be able to get there on foot. At the school, we're hanging out, and then I'm letting Kaylee know, like, hey, Ronnie wants to come and hang out. This is that, blah blah blah. We're still at the school, like we're still on school grounds, right? We're still on school grounds. We're like outside underneath the tents, because our school used to had like these outdoor tents where you could sit underneath during lunch or like whenever you're outside. So we're sitting there, and she's like, she's saying she cool with it. So okay, cool, right? And I gave Ronnie the heads up that she was with me as well, so he was cool with it as well. Mind you, the description that I gave Kaylee, right, in the last story time, Kaylee was a goofy, cheery, happy person. But the moment that Ronnie came, it was like she was a different person. And it's not nothing that Ronnie said, nothing that Ronnie did. Her mood just changed because of his presence. So he comes over, we're talking, we're chilling, and we're just having a normal conversation amongst the trio. And she just started gooking out. Like she started bugging. She just started acting crazy. And now me and Ronnie looking like, you good? She's having attitude at the ass now. Like she's having attitude with him. Anything he would say, she would have a slick remark for him. And now at this time, it's starting to like get him to feel uneasy. Mind you, he was a laid back person, so it would take a lot to upset Ronnie. So just know that Kaylee was doing a bit too freaking much. Now Ronnie just starts to be like, asking her straight up, yo, are you okay? Like, are you good? Is there something that I need to know? Like, you got an issue with me? Like, what's going on? No, no, da 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 da. Like, ain't nobody stunting you. Ain't nobody stunting you. Da da da. She just scoffing. She's like rolling her eyes. And at this point, I had to pull her to the side. I'm like, you wait here, Ronnie, you wait here. I pull her to the side. I'm asking her, like, we're having a one-on-one conversation, and I'm just like, Kaylee, like, what's your problem? Because the moment that he came here, your mood changed. She's trying to make it seem like she's trying to downplay the whole situation, like, oh, she's not doing nothing, this, that, blah, blah. She's trying to flip it and say he's the issue, he's doing too much. But I'm like, Kaylee, he's literally not doing nothing. What is your problem? She's downplaying it, and she's like, oh, I don't give a F about him. Da, 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 da. So at this point now Kaylee ends up removing herself from the situation, and she's like goes somewhere else. She didn't go too far, but she just went somewhere else out of earshot. So now Ronnie, no, she kept like threatening, like saying how she was gonna leave, and I'm just like, no, bro, like you're my best friend. We're with each other. Like, how are you gonna leave? How are you gonna get home, dumbass? How are you gonna get home? So I'm like, no, you're not going nowhere. Like I'm not gonna let you leave by yourself. You know what I mean? She's trying to act like she's gonna walk all the way home. Girl, bye. It's gonna take you an hour, 2 hours max. And I went back to Ronnie, and Ronnie's like, you know what? I'm gonna head out. Like, I think you should be with your best friend. I'm gonna head out. And I'm like, yo, I'm trying to be with her. I'm trying to like not have her be by herself, but she's not listening. She don't want to be around. So I can't force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. So he agreed. So he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. Um, so that's when I decided to like we decided to like walk to the gate or whatever, but we scooped up Kaylee first. But Kaylee didn't want to be around him so much, like poison. She didn't want to be around him. And we end up walking to yeah, we end up like leaving campus because at this point now me and Kaylee is gonna walk to my home and we're just gonna chill there. So somebody could like her father could come pick her up and take her home. And of course, Kaylee starts walking very super fast. And it's so funny, like the way that she used to walk like a freaking dolphin. Like just imagine a dolphin on their two like on their fins, just like walking. She was because I don't know if it was because she had like a big chest, like at a young age, and she was like a very skinny girl. So she used to walk like very fast. And it used to be so funny. And whenever she used to walk like that super fast, she was upset. So now Ronnie's like, listen, get your friend. I think you need to get your friend. I don't know what's her problem is, but he told me that he was gonna talk to me later, but he was gonna tell me something. He didn't want to tell me right then and there because Kaylee was there. So I was like, all right. Later on into the nighttime, Kaylee already gone home. Like, I'm in my room, and me and Ronnie are talking on the phone, and Ronnie was just saying how I truly did not appreciate how Kaylee was acting. She was being very rude. She was being very disrespectful. And I agree with him, and I apologize on Kelly's behalf because it was very rude of how she was acting and treating him. Because he really wasn't doing nothing, y'all. Like I promise you, he wasn't. And no, Ronnie was basically saying how she's acting that way for a reason. And I decided to ask him straight up because at this point, I really want to know because I want to get both sides of the story. Because Kelly, from the impression that I got from the year before or last school year was that they were together. They were, practically boyfriend girlfriend. She made everybody know let everybody know that was her boyfriend. So I asked him straight up. I said, "Do you think it's because you guys were talking or you guys were together and now you and I are talking? Is that because whatever, whatever?" So he was telling me straight up that they weren't serious. They were not a thing. At that time, I did not believe him because why would my best friend lie to me? Why would my best friend lie to me? I have to look at y'all when I say this and get closer because why would she lie? I wasn't really paying too much to what he was saying about that because I'm like, yeah, nigga, okay. Because one thing they gonna do, they gonna lie. He kept telling me like, they weren't serious. Just saying, like, from now on, if you wanna hang out with her, but please don't have him around type thing. So okay, cool. So I start hanging out with him. on my own accord, but separately. I did not mention this before. Kevin and Ronnie are friends. You heard right. They are homeboys. So Kaylee was messing with the homeboys. And that didn't stop for there because I am going to go a little bit further on. And I'm going to say that not only did she had messed with Ronnie, right? Because remember, she messed with Kevin first, then she went on to Ronnie. Ronnie had this cousin that was also in the 12th grade with him, and he ran track as well. And it's so funny because this cousin could really pass as a brother because that's how much they looked alike, but he was just short and Kevin was tall, right? Kevin also had a brother who they all looked alike, but in different fonts. This girl started to get into, let's just say, psychedelics. Whenever she was under the influence, she was not herself. And it was very scary because there was a point in time where, like, I kept having to rescue this girl. Yeah, I was there, and the cousin called me a cock blocker because it was actively happening in front of my fucking face where this boy was trying to have sex with her. And I'm just like, yo, get the fuck up off her. I was like, when I say I was really a good friend, at the end of the day, like, despite the fact that, yeah, I took her man, quote unquote, whatever, her man that really wasn't her man. Really, like, when it came to my friends, I look out for my friends. So when I seen what this fuck nigga was doing, Ronnie's cousin, I kept like get in his face, like, yo, back the fuck up off my friend. You obviously see that she's under the influence and she's gooking out crazy. She on the floor, rolling around the fucking floor, laughing and crying, and she go from laughing to crying, boohoo, crying and screaming and having panic attacks. And you over here trying to have sex with her, like you over here trying to do sexual shit with her. That's dead wrong. So he was pissed at me, child, and he told everybody how I was being a cock blocker. And I ended up telling everybody how he was being a fucking predator. But that's neither here or there. That's another story time for another day, child. Yeah, she was in between jobs and shit. And it got to the point where her sister had her big sister, who was also my friend too, because I didn't tell you guys this, but when we were in the ninth grade, her big sister was in the 12th grade. So we all like was just with each other all the time practically. And she even had like spoke with me and was telling me how she warned her sister, she warned Kaylee not to mess with homeboys. You never, that's one thing that you never do. You don't ever mess with homeboys because they all gonna talk about you and they gonna all talk about what you did with them. Did Kaylee listen? No, because if she did listen, we would not be here today. So I'm gonna hurry up and get with the story because I may have to make another part to this because it's getting too long, and like how Ronnie and meet ended and all kind of stuff, right? Kevin, Ronnie, Ronnie's cousin, and Ronnie's brother all were homeboys, and then there was other boys in the mix too. But there was five of them that were the main. And KJ from last story time, you guys remember KJ? Remember KJ, the one that I was talking to when we were in middle school, because they were a grade level above us. So both KJ and Kevin was a grade level above us, right? And Ronnie was 2 grade levels above us. At this time, um, KJ wasn't friends with Ronnie and all of them. He wasn't friends with them, so I didn't see KJ like that. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Because that would be too awkward, right? So Kevin is now like hanging around, like Ronnie and all of them more often versus to KJ, because KJ wasn't doing good in school as well. KJ ended up having to go to alternative school, and I feel like that was another reason why like they kind of stopped hanging around with each other. They were still hanging around, but not as much as they were before. So KJ was not doing good in school. He was not showing up to school. He was not doing his work. So eventually KJ's was slowly start phasing out. We stopped seeing KJ as much. And of course, like he was still messing with his girlfriend at the time, because I didn't tell y'all this from like last story time, but while KJ was talking to me, like me and him were talking, he was in a relationship the entire time and I didn't know. Another story time for another day. By this time, all of us is hanging out around each other. Me, Kevin, Kaylee, Ronnie, and his peoples were all at my house. Now, mommy, I am so sorry. Had boys in your house, mommy, I'm so sorry. This is like 10 years ago. And remember what I was saying earlier, how I knew not to do too much with upperclassmen because they are there for one thing whenever they mess with somebody that's younger. Whole time when me and Ronnie is in my room, Kaylee and Kevin is in the living room once again. I don't know where Ronnie's brother is. Ronnie, I think, was like outside or like hanging around outside over the case maybe because at this point he's like the fifth wheel. That's insane. How you the fifth wheel? But only reason why he was there is because Ronnie's not gonna leave his brother. Ronnie's not gonna leave his brother behind and they go home with each other. Ronnie is literally trying to take your girl's V card and I was not going for it and I'm so happy that I wasn't going for it. So whole time he's Tweedledee and Tweedledumbing me with my homegirl, my other homegirl downstairs, if you catch my drift, you know, because the same thing that was happening with Kevin and Kaylee, because that's what they were doing in the living room. And I'm gonna tell y'all like later on how I found out that's what they were doing because it ended up being revealed. And he's doing that with me, and that's the only thing I would let a guy do with me. I didn't let like all the guys that I was talking to do that with me, but if we get close to a point where like I'm either going to your house or like we're in a home or we're just like secluded somewhere in a home, then I mean that's the type of stuff that happens when you're a teenager. Like what else you think teenagers do when they like when a boy and girl get with each other? So, but I wasn't going for it. I was like telling him no. He kept asking me why, and I'm telling him why. You're a senior. What do you think is going to happen? I told him, I know you and I are not going to go far because eventually you're going to graduate, you're going to move on, you're going to move on to bigger and better things. And at that time, you know, I used to think like once people graduate, they're going to go off to college automatically. I don't think he went to college immediately. Because the point in time when he did graduate, he did go out of state somewhere, but he ended up coming back down to Florida for whatever reason. I don't know why. He was super persistent with me on trying to get me to budge, and your girl would not fold. And thank God I did not fold. So of course, eventually, like you know, he stops doing what he's doing and like stopped kissing upon me and all kind of stuff. And you know, it wasn't like he wasn't mad or nothing. Eventually him and Kevin ends up going home, and while they were going like walking down the stairs or walking outside, and they met up with Ronnie's brother. Why, tell me why Kevin went in Ronnie's brother's face and was like, want to smell my fingers? Now how embarrassing. That's fucking embarrassing. That was super embarrassing, and did that shit right in front of Kaylee because we were basically like walking them outside, and then we just stayed up on my floor and just watching them like walk away in the parking lot to like leave my complex. And I'm just like, yo, and then Kaylee just like, oh my god. I'm gonna leave this part right here. Sorry to leave you guys on a cliffhanger. In the next video that I do, I am gonna explain what happened between Ronnie and I and why we didn't make it. Like I said, we wasn't gonna make it. But before I end this video, I am going to let you guys know like what was no. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna reveal that in the next part too. I am gonna reveal what was told to me by Kaylee's neighbor, who was also our friend as well, who went to middle and high school with us, and she revealed something to me that was very interesting, and it's gonna make sense as to, first of all, why Ronnie was saying what he was saying, that they wasn't for real, they wasn't serious, and why Kaylee was acting on nonchalant, acting like she don't care that me and him talk. Stay tuned for the next video. Bye, guys.